it's summertime. Little black girls are going missing in a small southern town, and the disappearances seem extremely calculated. What's going on? And who's the big bad? It sounds like a pretty cool story to me. Last time on Cam's Book Corner, I aired my grievances with Madeline Miller and the Song of Achilles. And in that video, I gave a sneak peek of the book that I'm going to talk about now. So here's Jackal. At its core, I really think that Jackal is a story about the nuanced black girl experience. And I find it heartwarming and kind of mystifying and creepy that we all have similar life experiences that are still different in little ways. Jackal asks, what does it mean to be a black girl? What does it mean to be a black girl in America? And what does it mean to be a black girl in the South? Erin E. Adams delivers a tale of black girl heroism with Jackal. Liz, our main girl, is a great hero. We see Liz out on a mission to uncover what is going on in her hometown with her goddaughter, Caroline, who disappears from her parents' wedding. And from cover to cover, the story is fast and will keep you guessing. When I felt like I finally got to the bottom of what was going on, the next chapter would be something completely different and throw me so far, and I would truly be guessing what's going to happen next. And I really appreciate stories like that. So I rated this book 4 stars. It would have had 5. Had it ended differently. And the ending that it got, the unraveling of everything, never would have seen that coming, but I should have, because the book gives it away very early. But I think it's a great story. It's something that I truly enjoyed reading. I cried, I laughed, I questioned my existence as a black girl. Especially a black girl that is from the South and has so many experiences regarding the South. What does that mean? We'll talk about that. But I wanted to give a brief review without spoiling anything. Even though I only gave this book 4 stars, I'm saying only 4 stars is bad. 4 stars is great, but I want to take a second to just praise the book, praise Erin E. Adams for the way that this story is written, the way sentences are put together, and how the tone of this book comes across when you read it. So many descriptions are brought to life, and they took me back to my childhood. There are 2 characters. The characters are Kayla and Kylie, and they're sisters. And it's summer, and one is braiding another's hair on the porch. And when I tell you, I could smell the grease and hear the beads, feel the humidity that's just suffocating, I felt like a little kid again. Another thing, the flashbacks are used so well. It just seamless. We go back, we read the flashback, we're there. Then we get brought back to the present. It's seamless and it makes sense. You don't get confused on where you are in the timeline. It's very clear cut, and I love that. The foreshadowing through Liz's dreams gives the whole story away. I hate that I sat there confused. What is going on with these dreams? this book truly is an experience, and it's not a book that I would read in one sitting. I didn't read it in one sitting. Because yes, it was fun and suspenseful, but as a black girl reading these stories about other black girls, it could be a bit difficult at times. And like I mentioned earlier, I cried. So if you want to know more about the black girl experience, or if you're a black girl and you just want to escape into a world where you get to see other black girl experiences in fiction, read Jackal. Grab a cup, because we're about to get into the tea on this book. I have my Winnie the Pooh mug today, and we have raspberry and pomegranate tea. So what's the tea on Jackal? The tea on Jackal is that it's a bizarre story. Extremely bizarre. Start to finish. I was thinking that this book was going to be like a Stranger Things type situation where black girls are going missing on or around the summer solstice, and they end up in the upside down or something. Like everybody's happy, and well, not necessarily happy, but the black girls are just waiting and need somebody to rescue them, and everything will be fine and sunshine and rainbows once our main girl Liz finds them. But no, spoiler alert, there is no upside down. There is no happy ending. The black girls are missing. They're not in the upside down. And that's what I wanted the story to be because it would give me a bit more hope regarding the situation. But that was not the case. Not at all. And you know what? That's how it is sometimes as a black girl. The story often seems to be written against us. And that's what this was. And this was not a hopeful situation for me or anybody involved. This was quite sorrowful and filled with despair. There are quite a few important topics that are brought up in this book regarding black girls and the black community as a whole, and the relationship that black girls have with the black community, and how those relationships, specifically with black men, and maybe I should say, when I say black community, I mean all of us in the diaspora, specifically those of us that are here in America. Good grief. The dynamic of Liz's parents is one that I see often debated on black Twitter, specifically regarding black love and a woman being seen as more successful than her male counterpart in the relationship. And Liz's mom is extremely successful, and when she got with her husband, you know, she wasn't a doctor yet. She's a doctor. She didn't have all of her own things, and it seemed like she and her husband were on the same terms as far as like making money and equality in the relationship. But then it's kind of explained that Liz's dad gets a bit jealous of her, and because of the jealousy, he becomes possessive, and the macho alpha black man that you see on black Twitter. It just made me think about how, like, unfortunate it is when some black men, it's not it's not all of them, some black men feel inferior to their girlfriend, their wife, when she's deemed as more successful or just successful in her own right. And he realizes that she's successful without him, she's stable without him, she was stable before him, and she'll be stable after him. It truly is a conversation that we all need to sit down and have. Like, why do some of y'all act like that when you realize we're fine without you? And like, not everything revolves around you? Whoa, shocker. It's like y'all react like somebody stabbed y'all in the gut or something. Get it together. Please get it together. I want us to be better. Let's progress. We can all be happy and secure in who we are in our relationships. It shouldn't matter if one person in the relationship is more successful than the other. Just love each other. Rainbows and sunshine, man. Just love each other. I talked about this book being bizarre. So, black girls are going missing. We're trying to figure out who's involved with the black girls going missing. And why specifically black girls? Why specifically in the summer, on or around the solstice? Seems kind of sacrificial. Seems kind of calculated. And it's real creepy. So, who's involved? There's lots of talk about how it's known that black girls aren't let out of the house after dark in the summer because there's a shadow. There's a shadow lurking around. It's a whole cautionary tale about the woods and being in the woods after dark in the shadow. Hold on. So the little cautionary tale is: a man and his shadow live in the trees. When they walk in time, both are pleased. If one calls your name or the other tempts you off the path, you must ignore both or face their wrath. What? Once I read that, I mean, I was already stressed reading the book, but seeing that, I said, oh, I'm even more stressed. So many of my annotations are just me being stressed. Stressed because I'm scared. Stressed because, what is that? Stressed because who's the big bad? Who's the shadow? What's going on? And then we're introduced to Jack, who is the shadow. And even with that information, we still don't know what Jack is and what its motive is. But with Jack comes his fellow. Who is the fellow? So, one thing I've noticed in life and in media is the white man is usually the big bad. And there are a lot of suspicious white men in this book. And I said, who could it be? Is it the dirty cops? Could it be some of the white men in town that are very suspicious? Who could it be? Who's the big bad? Is it the shadow or is it the fellow? It's both, girl. They're in cahoots. They're working together to literally... It's so graphic. Graphic warning for what I'm about to say. Literally cut open black... Like it's hunting season on black girls, bro. Opening up black girls and taking their hearts and letting the shadow feed on that. And through feeding on the hearts, the shadow gains like the memories and the specific aspects of the black girls that made them who they were. That's horrifying. Erin, girl, how did you come up with this? If this was ever turned into a movie, I don't know if I would watch. Because. And then we find out the worst detail. It's not even the worst. It's really not the worst detail. But threw me for a loop. Literally threw me for a loop. The white man that's been working with the shadow? Tell me why is the detective that's been trying to help Liz find her goddaughter and figure out what's going on with all these disappearances. It's Doug. It's the detective. Literally, all the monsters hide in plain sight. I thought it was going to be one of the cops. Even Caroline, the goddaughter, I thought it was going to be her racist grandparents. I thought they were going to be involved somehow. No, it's the very man that's trying to help find what's going on and help find Caroline. Like, he and Liz and a few other people that are connected to Caroline go out in the woods looking for baby girl. And he's there, he's leading them around. He knows the layout of the forest in the dark. I know I'm skipping some vital details, but I'm just trying to spit everything out. When I read that it was Doug and his wife, I was sick. I was so hurt. Literally betrayed. Because what do you mean? What do you mean, sir? No, you've been helping me the whole time. You gave me so much information. I'm thinking you're trying to help. No, you're leading me astray. What? Sir, you've been doing this? And then I said earlier they've been in cahoots for decades. Doug is the next in line. He's the one that inherited this pact with the shadow, right? His daddy was doing it before him. What? Oh my god. Oh god. Okay, let me get back on track. I have multiple notes in here that say crying, screaming, throwing up. I was so suspicious of Liz's love interests, and I thought it, and I love how that was written. I was so deceived. I was led astray and bamboozled this whole book. The whole book. And you know what? He was a good man, Savannah. Let's talk about the shadow. Let's talk about the shadow, because the shadow is Jack. Jack is short for Jackal. And what is a mysterious shadow-like force that seems kind of scary and is connected to the night and possibly the afterlife and the underworld? Anubis. The god Anubis. How did I not connect that? Book is split into sections, split into parts. It opens with the heart, and then the next part is the feather. And then the last part goes on to the scales. And if you aren't familiar with the story of Anubis, the myth of Anubis, Anubis is the deity of the dead, or the god of funerary rites, protector of graves, and guide to the underworld, and is usually depicted as a canine or a man with a canine head, a jackal. Anubis measures the hearts of the dead on the scale of justice and weighs it against the feather of Mot, the god of justice. This process is said to determine whether or not the person to whom the heart belongs is worthy to enter the realm of the dead. In the story, Anubis's end goal, Jack's end goal seems to be he wants to reign over humanity and be freed from the confines of the forest. And I truly think I'm missing something. I was really confused, and my question about why specifically Liz, like what was special about Liz, because Jack talks about how Liz gets away from him the first time and nobody else really lives up to Liz, and Jack wants to inhabit Liz and carry out his plans of leaving the forest and ruling over the world through Liz, and he deems her as worthy of being his vessel. But why? Why a black girl? I think I'm just confused about that. Which is why the book got 4 stars. Just because that part particularly was lost on me. It was still kind of creepy though, reading the whole scene where Jack and Liz combine in one body, and Liz is talking about how she's pretty much drunk with power, and she feels this overwhelming feeling. It's extremely ominous. We see her give that up and suppress Jack and come back to herself and then expel Jack. A satisfying part of this is Liz pretty much takes Jack's heart as a sign of justice and leaves him where he is in the afterlife of shadows. Well, not the after. It says afterlife of shadows. Finally, in death, I am seen. So he's kind of just left there. Left to be dead and not necessarily. It seems like Liz, in the same way Jack took life from so many other black girls and tried to take one more through Caroline, Liz takes death from the god of death, or takes the life of death from the god of death. I'm gonna have to sit with this one. Anyway, let's move on. I wanted to talk a little bit about 3 of the black girl stories that stuck out to me the most and brought up some important issues or conversations regarding the black girl experience. So first is Morgan. On page 93, Morgan learned she was beautiful at the age of 12. Her mother, Latoya, had always called her cute. Her father, Reggie, crowned her princess. It was church that taught her she was beautiful. Through glances during sermons, pointed looks from women in enormous hats, and lingering gazes from deacons, Morgan figured out her beauty. It was a problem. Girls were pretty. Women were beautiful. I don't want to cry again. Oh, no. Morgan's girlhood, like many black girls, was so brief she almost missed it. One moment she was a child, and the next, Her mother was concerned about the length of her dresses and the color of her shirts. At the very end of Morgan's story, the shadow says, "Though I know Morgan's heart well, they never found her body. Morgan, who was always remembered, slowly was forgotten. Her heart taught me the monstrosity and beauty. It showed me how people are often pulled to what hurts them the most, desire and destruction. With her heart, I learned to wield both." Morgan's story kind of brought up how Black girls are often forgotten in history, and people don't always seem as dedicated to look for missing Black girls. Another point that Morgan's story brought up is the aging and sexualization of young Black girls. So our girlhood often falls victim to predatory behaviors in society. To protect ourselves, some of us try to mature faster and are then blamed for the attention that we unknowingly receive. It made me think about how, for us, a girlhood of innocence and being carefree is a luxury and a blessing. And so many of us don't get to have that because we're constantly trying to protect ourselves, because people around us are more so scrutinizing us and preying on us instead of protecting us. So I think that Morgan's story is for the beautiful Black girls that lost the hearts of their girlhood to being perceived as fast or hot in the tail. The next story that I want to talk about is Brittany's. Brittany wanted to dance. Of course, she's the only Black girl in a dance class full of white girls, and she's being belittled and talked to condescendingly, even though she knows and everybody else knows that she's the best dancer in the group. And she wants to make it to New York. She wants to dance there and have a big career. And sadly, she doesn't get to do that. We see her like pack a bag and go out after dark and try and do a test run to see if she has the resolve and the courage to run away and follow her dreams to New York. And she goes out and she tries, and the shadow calls her name, and she gets distracted and gets led off the path, and the shadow takes her. Brittany's story really made me cry, just because there are so many Black girls that we've lost, that we will never know the potential that their lives had. We'll never see that brought to fruition, and it hurts. It really hurts. And I wrote here, there are so many Black girls that had their names stolen by shadows. My heart breaks for them. The monsters of society seek and destroy the lights of Black girls. And it's true. It happens every day. We lose so many Black girls to shadows or people that just don't want to let us grow to our fullest potential. Last is Caroline's story. Caroline is mixed, and her mom is white with racist parents, and her dad is Black. And that family dynamic was a rough one to begin with. But Caroline's grandparents love her. It seems like, though she is half Black, they still seem to care about her because she's her mother's daughter. But we see throughout the book that there's slowness on the cops and the search and rescue team when looking for her. It's funny and unfortunate to see how Caroline's mom reacts to how slow and how long the process is to get a whole team out to look for her and try and bring her home, and she's losing hope because when are they going to bring my baby home? Maybe I should just do it for myself. But all the black people in town and all the black people reading the book know why it's taking these cops so long. Because if she was straight up, they would have been out there in maybe not even a few hours, maybe 1 hour, maybe a few minutes. Who knows? But we knew, because she was half, they weren't going to jump on anything trying to look for her. Caroline's story to me is about mixed black girls that have that proximity to whiteness, but are still so deeply affected by the anti-blackness of society. That was the last little story that I wanted to talk about. So let's set the tone. So the song that I felt was most fitting for this story, there was no debating. It's very clearly Heat Wave by Mariba and Black. Because Mariba straight up opens the song with, "You better run, run, run like a demon's chasing you." What do we see Liz doing in her dreams? Running from a shadow. It's the clear winner. There's no argument for it. It's this song. And the song is called Heat Wave. This story takes place around the summer solstice. It's the longest day of summer. You're in the South, so it's sweltering. Like, you step outside and heat is gonna slap you. It's a great song. I 10 out of 10 recommend anything that Mariba and Black put out, just because they have great music. This is low-key a scary song. If this book was made into a movie, this should be the first song on the soundtrack, because it sets the tone. You want to be scared in the summer? Really, everything that goes on in the book, it's a reflection of the song. That was Jackal by Erin E. Adams. And like I said earlier, I laughed, I cried. I enjoyed it for what it was. I do recommend it. Did I like the confusing parts? No. Would I have enjoyed it more if it was like the Upside Down from Stranger Things and we found the black girls alive? Yeah, I would have loved that. But that's not what was in store. Anyway, 4 out of 5 stars. I do recommend. Just be prepared for absolute bizarre summertime tales. What book am I reading? Oh, the book that I'm reading currently. I'm doing a reading vlog for that because I need to see in real time. Like, when I go back and watch all my old videos, I need to see in real time how I'm reacting to this book. Because it's destroying me. I feel like I have lost part of myself since reading this book. The book is My Dark Vanessa. Yeah, I'm hurt. I am falling. I've already picked out the song for this book. There's no debate. There's technically 3 or 4 songs I could use, But this song is at the top of the list. I'll be talking about this in a reading vlog that will hopefully be out. I'm not even going to say when it's going to be out. We'll see. We'll see when it comes out. I'm over halfway into the book, and I'm hurt. Thanks for tuning in to Cam's Book Corner, and we'll be back next time with my Dark Vanessa.